Hey guys, this is a quick lecture on hearing inversions and recognizing good voice leading. Okay? So remember we talked about root position before, where the triad has the root in the bass. No matter where you are, the triad has a third and then another third, right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what type of triad it is. If the root is in the lowest position, that is the root inversion. And then we talked about first inversions, where the third of the triad becomes the lowest note. And this could be for a major chord, or it could be for a minor chord, or it could even be for a diminished chord. Right? Remember the augmented, audibly, you're not going to be able to hear augmented triads in inversions because they're all major thirds apart and they all sound the same. Okay? But they do not have that perfect fourth interval or that augmented fourth interval as the other chords do. Today we're going to primarily be listening for major and minor chords. All right, and I want you to recognize a few things. First of all, just hear where the root is. If this is your scale, we're going to stay in the key of C because it's going to be the easiest. Right, here's your Do. Right? So if I'm going to play the 4 chord, Do, Re, Mi, Fa, 4. Right? I want to hear this note. Where is the root? And if you hear it like this, da, you want to start training your ears so it's going to be the highest note that you hear. And that means if you hear the root on the highest note of the chord, it's in first inversion. So not only are you noticing that the lowest note is the third, but really when you're listening for triad inversions, you want to listen to where the root is. Okay, if this would be in second inversion of the 4 chord, right, here's your 1 again. Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do, 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 Re, Mi, Fa, Da. You can hear it in the middle. It's not the highest note. It's not the lowest note. So when you're listening for triad inversions, listen for the root and try to figure out where that is. All right, let's go back to our key of C. All right, and we're going to listen for the inversion of the 3 minor. So the 3 minor, here is a version of it. Okay. So again, Do, Re, Mi, Mi is the 3, so that's where you want to hear that root of the 3 minor chord. Da, da. 3, it's in the middle. So this is a second inversion because the root is in the middle, right? The root is in the middle. Right? Now how can you find that? Listen for those perfect fourths. So remember the perfect fourth is found in a minor triad inversion, first or second inversion. Same thing with a major triad, first or second inversion, because we are taking the interval between the 5th and the octave, or the So and the Do, and we are stacking them next to each other. Instead of having them being in the middle with a third, we're putting them next to each other. So you have that perfect fourth, all right? So listen for the root, and the way to help you find the root is to listen for that perfect fourth. Anytime you hear this, you're gonna know the top note is the root, right? Or even if it's minor, or here, listen for that perfect fourth, okay? And in that way, you're not even going to have to worry about what key you're in. If you can hear a perfect fourth, and then notice if the major third is below it or above it, or the minor third is below it or above it, you're going to know what interval or what inversion you're listening to. All right? So for example, let's listen to this triad right here. Where's the perfect fourth? It's at the top. And the top note then would be the root, right? So that means this is first inversion because the top note is the root. The fifth is in the middle. That makes that perfect fourth at the top. And then a third of the chord is at the bottom. All right, let's hear another one. Where's the perfect fourth? It's at the beginning of that triad. It's the bottom half of the triad. So that means the root of that triad is in the middle. And now we also can hear that this is a minor triad. It's a minor color, right? So we know this is a minor of some sort in second inversion if we just would hear it. Seeing it, you can see that it's a C minor in second inversion. Okay? All right, the next thing I want you to look at and practice, again, do all of this in a practice room, sit on the piano and just listen and train your ear, drill yourself, okay? Can you hear if things are gonna be played with proper voice leading or if they are all being played in root position or jumping around the piano, right? Again, root position would be... Except for that last chord, that was all root position. Everything was jumping around, so we were in the root position in your right hand and your left hand. Now, if I did that again, see if I can remember those same chords, but if I did it in a voice leading way, I'm gonna keep my right hand similar positions and use inversions throughout the whole thing. So I went 1, okay, so you should be able to recognize just by hearing, and this is actually quite familiar to us. We're so used to hearing the right hand or chords being voiced in just the similar positions. By using these inversions, okay? So if you're using inversions, if you're using them properly, you're gonna be able to just keep in the same position on the keyboard and just shift, right? First position, this is a second inversion of the 1 chord. If you go to the 4, you go to that first inversion of the 4 chord. You go to the 6, this is a root position, right? And then the 5, another root position. Remember we talked about having that parallel motion is quite common in modern worship. So this is the only time where that one-to-one, root-to-root, everything parallel works okay. But it would work even better, and it obviously gives you an opportunity to shift your voicing if we would shift up. If the bass goes down and the right hand goes up. So if we do the same progression, a 1, 4, 6, 5. And then we jump up, now we're in a new position. Okay, there's different opportunities, different ways to voice your chords. The challenge is to try to make it work the best way possible so the ear follows logically, but it's not too harsh and not too critical, right? So review how to hear inversions. Listen for the root, listen for that perfect fourth, right? And listen and see where things move around. And then recognize when you have proper voice leading within your chord progressions, how it's being played, right? This just relates to the piano right now. It can relate to all instruments across the board. You wouldn't want to play a guitar where you're going up and down the same way, right? And playing a bar chord all the way across the chords. No, you're gonna be doing different chords, and that automatically gives you inversions of those chords because of the way the strings are laid out, right? So these inversions and these voicings are really critical. All right, we will see you in class on Wednesday.